Alright, hey, what's up, Street Talks? Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So, I'm with my boy Dana right now. He's a great street photographer here based in LA. Always hitting the streets and also a hipster like me. Likes to shoot film. Wanted to do a quick interview with him while we're about to head out to shoot in the streets. So, hand over the iPad. Alright, so Dana, would you like to reintroduce yourself to the rest of the world out there?
Hi guys, I'm Dana Barsuhn, fellow street photographer, and I guess also a film shooter. Not that that makes any difference, but.
So tell us about your history with street photography. How'd you get into it? What interested you about it?
I was actually a friend of mine, Barnett Perello. He's an author, and he also has a podcast, The Candid Frame. I'm a good friend of his, and he's a good friend of mine. And he actually asked me to do this workshop with Black Boots Inc. And it was kind of a documentary / like street photography workshop that was based down here in downtown LA. And that was kind of my first. It was kind of my first time, being around street photographers and kind of understanding more about, what it's about, what it's like to get closer to subjects, and just to approach them in a different way.
So when you're out shooting in the streets, tell us what you look for.
Wow, it's funny. At first it was just a matter of kind of getting out of my comfort zone, and just coming out and shooting was the hardest. This is tough.
No pressure, man. No pressure. No pressure.
If we do this over again.
No, we're not doing this over. We're a one-take wonder.
Really?
Yeah, one-take wonder.
Man.
So you're out shooting.
This whole interview thing. Oh man. Well, no, I think at first it was just finding subjects that I was drawn to, and just going up and shooting them and not shooting for the hip. That was the big thing at first. I would go up and shoot, and it would be from the hip. And they told me, no, you just make sure you bring it to eye level, or and approach the subject and take the shot. But it was still hard to get within 3 to 4 to 5 feet. I was still pretty far away. And after a couple of months of shooting, I decided that I wanted to get something that was a camera that would enable me to get close without scaring people. and that's when I was looking at rangefinders, and once I got into rangefinders, I figured out, well, it's too darn expensive to buy a Leica, a digital rangefinder. So I decided to start shooting film, and that was really what started to get me, even closer to subjects, and now the subject and and the background are kind of what attracts me. I try to find some good light, a decent background, and hopefully someone will come in front of me that looks interesting.
So show us your little babies.
I've got the M4 and kind of the newest edition, the T3. That's always in my pocket. So even if I'm at work or just going to the coffee shop or whatever, it's always in my pocket.
So with your M4, it doesn't have a meter built in.
No.
How do you manage to meter when you're out shooting on the streets?
Well, I do have a Satonic 405 or something, and that's what I used when I started out. But lately, I've been just kind of using kind of the Sunny 16 rule. And I kind of know where my exposures are, so just kind of go out and shoot with it.
So when you're generally shooting on the street, how would you describe your style? Are you the type of person to be seen when you're shooting, or you try to be more discreet? Or
I try to be more discreet, although sometimes, depending on the subject, they'll see me come up to them, or they'll see the camera, and then I'll ask if I can take their picture. Sometimes, it'll be more of a street portrait, where I'll have interaction with them. But I'd say most of the time, if I could, I try and get them in more candid opportunities. Sometimes they never know I even take the picture. So a lot of the pictures that that I end up really liking are actually ones that where they didn't see me, or a lot of times even where their faces are in complete shadow. You know, sometimes it'll just be, you know, you see the hat, you see a silhouette, or something of that nature. I find I like a lot of those images because I think other people can place themselves, you know, into that picture. You know, whether instead of like, you know, where it's someone's face that you know, that's obviously just right in front of you and you can recognize them if you would know them.
So you did something very interesting with your house / basement / You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I actually turned it into a dark room.
Oh yeah.
A friend of mine about a year and a half ago basically gave me his whole dark room in a couple of boxes, and I've been meaning to put it together. And about 2 months ago, I finally, you know, turned my garage into a working dark room.
Yeah, boy. So have you been doing your own prints and?
I have. You know, the first couple weeks were like, oh, I couldn't wait to, like, you know, go in there and you know, make prints. But as I've started to make some prints, I'm starting to do it only when, you know, when I get images or negatives that I really like. You know, instead of just being in there for the sake of being in there, because you know, otherwise, I mean, it takes a lot of time. You're in there for hours and hours on end. And, you know, I think, you know, for me, it's like I really have to be out shooting. You know, even with my digital workflow, it's, you know, with scanning and editing, you know, I think a lot of that takes up sometimes too much of my time, you know, where I should be out shooting.
Yeah.
So I really want to take advantage of the time I have shooting and also, you know, the time I have, you know, in the dark room or on the computer.
So describe the magic of the dark room for those who have, you know, who have never had the experience. You know, well, is it really that much of a special moment? How is it different from using Lightroom or something like that?
Wow, you know, it is pretty magical watching that image come out of the chemicals, and I mean, it takes a lot more for it to get to that point, and there's a lot of, you know, which chemicals do you want to use? You know, what kind of light source on your head. I'm talking about the negative carrier as far as like on the I can't think of the name right now, but anyway, yeah, it's just a different process, and it's kind of more organic. It's kind of makes you feel like you're actually kind of like an artist, like doing something with your hands, you know, rather than, you know, doing it on the computer. Which I mean, I started out digitally, so there's nothing, and I still work in Lightroom. I still work in Photoshop, so I'm not like totally against that process. It's just for me, you know, I also do work commercially outside of street photography, and a lot of times that ends up being, you know, a digital workflow. And I think for me, coming out in the street and doing my art here, you know, with a 35mm camera, it's a change for me, and I think that for me that's kind of what works and makes me differentiate, you know, my art versus my work.
So when you're shooting with film, do you feel that it makes you more selective when you're shooting on the streets? Do you feel like it helps you slow down? And also, I guess in the end, when it comes to the editing process, how do you find it, considering that you shoot both digital and film, how do you find your the benefits of shooting film, and also maybe some of the downsides?
Oh wow! I mean, shooting film definitely has slowed me down. I definitely don't take as many shots as I used to. I'm very selective, but not selective to the point where I won't take a shot if I'm not sure about it. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, I still, like I said, I still shoot digital as well, but it's just, yeah, I just enjoy shooting.
So when you're out shooting on the streets, generally, how many rolls do you have to shoot before you get a keeper? What's your hit rate?
Wow, hit rate. You know, it's funny. I can go out on one day and shoot maybe 2 to 3 rolls, and I'll come home with some good ones. Maybe not like one of those keepers that you end up posting. And then there'll be a day where I go out and I shoot maybe 2 or 3 or 4 that end up being like some really good keepers. You know, I just sometimes have those days, and I think it just depends on kind of my mindset and where I am kind of with myself. You know, it's, you know, some days I see more, and some days I don't. You know, and it just depends on kind of how I'm feeling. You know.
So, what kind of advice would you give aspiring street photographers who may have you know, confidence issues like the fear of shooting street photography, as well as kind of finding your own voice and, you know, shooting photos that kind of really reflect who you are as a person?
Well, you know, for me, it was, you know, I think just getting out to shoot is one of the hardest things for me to do. Like, I'll have a day where I actually tell myself, you know, well, I want to go out and shoot, and I have the time and everything. And then all those thoughts go through my head of like, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. And for me, the biggest hurdle to street photography was just, or shooting, you know, in the street, was actually just getting out of my house and coming back. The rest is gravy, you know. I mean, I've had times when, you know, I had a roll of film that I didn't even advance through the camera, you know, and took some shots that I thought might have been keepers, you know, and went home, and of course there was nothing developed, but at the end of the day, like, I still saw the photograph and I had the experience, and to me that's more than anything else, you know. To me, it's like, it's kind of like going to church, you know. It's like, this is kind of where I you know, worship, you know, photography, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, we are at you're sitting in someone's seat right now.
Yeah, right. Good old
we're actually at Todd's desk, guys. Todd from the Talk Gallery. Todd, hopefully you're enjoying this video while you're still in Europe. And
no, but yeah, you know, I would say just go out and shoot. You know, don't be afraid to get out there, and I think, you know, like me, I think when I first came out, I don't think I really had necessarily a voice. It was just a matter of time in the street to find a voice, you know. And I think for me, the voice is just, you know, a lot of my photographs, you know, I believe reflect kind of what's going on, you know, with me, you know. I've found sometimes that I only shoot like a single subject, and, you know, the photos kind of have that feeling of just solidarity, you know, and just, well, other times, you know, now I tend to, a lot of times I see in some of my recent photographs is there's more than one person, you know, in the photograph. So, I mean, it just depends on where I am with myself. So,
any last people you'd like to give a shout out to, or recommend other people check out their work?
Oh, wow. Actually, there's someone I don't even know, but it was the first person that I really, you know, I kind of saw was at this Photo LA a couple years ago, and his work just caught my eye, and his name is Stanko Abadzic. I don't exactly remember this.
We'll put the info in the video.
Yeah. Just some amazing work, and I just saw him recently in some black and white photo magazines and stuff. But yeah, I just, you know, also want to give a shout out to, you know, Bar and Perello for really, you know, giving me the motivation to kind of get out of my comfort zone and start shooting, and also to my wife. She's my #1 fan.
Oh,
and,
so sweet.
Always will be. So
yeah, and give you have 1 minute 30 seconds. Give a quick peek about this Friday.
Oh yeah, I'm showing some work over at 2 Edgy Gallery over in downtown, the downtown LA Arts District. It's going to be from, I believe, like 6 to 11, and yeah, they found me online and contacted me, and, you know, excited to have some of my work being shown.
Sweet. All right, Dana, thanks for taking some time chatting.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody.
All right, I'll put all the info in the description. All right, ready to hit the streets?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool.